The hits keep coming for dynamic duo Jacob Wall and Jack Berkman. So they're in a little bit of trouble. Just weeks after the Michigan prosecutors hit the pair of right-wing provocateurs with some charges in a voter intimidation scheme, the pair were also hit with another indictment in Ohio on by an Ohio grand jury on separate felony counts. So this is some interesting stuff. Okay. Local prosecutors charged Wohl and Berkman each with 8 counts of felony telecommunications fraud and 7 counts of felony bribery for allegedly lying to minority communities in Ohio about mail-in voting. All right. So now Ohio, in this case, defines bribery as an attempt by intimidation, coercion, or other unlawful means to induce such delegate or elector to register or refrain from registering or to vote or refrain from voting at a primary convention or election for a particular person, question, or issue. All right. So now, what exactly does that mean? What exactly did they do, allegedly? Recordings featured a woman falsely telling recipients that mail-in ballots could be used to collect outstanding debt, track down warrants, track down people for mandatory vaccines. Of course, that's clearly a right-wing thing. And then, let's see, added, stay safe and beware of vote by mail. So now, I voted by mail, and I went and actually checked, and turns out they received my ballot. There it is. So what's wrong with vote by mail? Well, nothing, unless you listen to these robocalls by Berkman and Wohl that tell you, oh, they're going to come after your debt. They're going to come after you with mandatory vaccines. Someone's going to show up at your door and just jab you with a needle. No, that's not going to happen. That's ridiculous. And it turns out that it's against the law to tell them that, to tell people that. So there it is. Now, the recording cited in the lawsuit said the calls were made on behalf of Project 1599. That happens to be Jack Berkman's group. So the duo, who represented themselves, by the way, and that's funny, because imagine them representing anybody. Jacob Wall pretends to be a lawyer. He's not a lawyer. He's not a real person. Well, okay, he's a real person. He's not a real lawyer. He's not really what he represents himself to be. So to see him and Berkman try to represent themselves in court on these charges is really, really stupid. Really stupid. All right, so that said, they testified one day earlier in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of New York in a civil lawsuit brought on behalf of the National Coalition of Black Civic Participation in relation to the same alleged scheme. So the suit alleges that Wohl and Berkman had violated the Ku Klux Klan Act with these calls. Berkman, who in August denied involvement, appeared to confess to placing the calls during a New York hearing. When the judge asked whether he had been acting alone or with anyone else prepared to that message and caused it to be sent, Berkman replied in the affirmative. Oh, yes, Your Honor. Yes. Yes, 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 he said. That sounds like a confession to me. I did it. And yes, I had been working with other people. I mean, so now you've got that lawsuit in New York, and then you've got Michigan, you've got the indictment in Ohio, and you also have other states. In fact, you have warrants that are issued for their arrest. And if convicted, they face up to 18 years and 6 months in prison. That is some serious stuff. Okay, but that's not all. They also were reported to have conspired with criminal Roger Stone. Now, Roger Stone, again, worked with Donald Trump and had just been pardoned. So he would be in prison if it weren't for Donald Trump giving him a pardon. So now they are alleged to have been leaking grand jury information from that trial. Now, in a statement announcing the charges in Michigan, where the pair went free after pleading not guilty and posting bail of $100,000, State Attorney General Dana Nessel described these robocalls targeting areas with, quote, significant minority populations in the state. Nessel indicated that investigations were also ongoing in Ohio, New York, as well as Pennsylvania and Illinois. In Ohio, Cuyahoga County prosecutor alleged that 8,100 calls were placed to phone numbers located in Cleveland and East Cleveland, more than 3,400 of which were answered by a live person or a voicemail. Shortly after his Monday testimony before the Southern District of New York, Wall had to attend a hearing in California Superior Court where he was charged last year for a felony securities fraud. The hearing was subsequently pushed to mid-November, according to court records. Solano also reported back in May that the Attorney General of Arizona was coordinating with California officials in pursuit of tens of thousands of dollars in fines and court fees assessed to Wall in a separate securities fraud case. These guys are in some serious trouble. I mean, their criminal rap sheet is getting pretty damn large. And a lot of states are coming for him. 18 years in prison. Tens of thousands of dollars in damages. Now, you think they're going to get prison time? I don't know. And that's what concerns me, okay? So there's a couple of different, scenarios that could play out. That is assuming, of course, they get convicted. We have to have a trial first. Got to have the evidence. They have to present their case, and there has to be a ruling, okay? So say all of that goes on, and they end up getting convicted to, let's say, 15 years, whatever, right? Nice even number, okay? 15 years for all this stuff. So now, interestingly enough, if they have a trial before the election, and which is very, very unlikely, all right? But say it happens for Donald Trump. If Donald Trump loses to Joe Biden and is in a lame duck session, and they get convicted, Donald Trump could pardon them. Now, is that likely to happen? Well, I mean, it's possible, but it's also possible that Donald Trump could be really busy trying to protect himself and his family members from any sort of possible prosecution. That is certainly possible. Now, if, of course, Donald Trump loses, the same thing. If he wins, well, then we get into something different. So if Donald Trump wins the election and they end up getting charged and go to prison, it's very possible that they could receive a pardon because they were working, of course, on behalf of Donald Trump. So in order to help him, of course, win the election by discouraging mail-in ballots. That is definitely possible. And that's, again, if they're convicted, which is, unfortunately, an if. That said, there's some strong words from Cuyahoga County Prosecutor Michael O'Malley. So here's what he said in a statement. Quote, "The right to vote is the most fundamental component of our nation's democracy. These individuals clearly infringed upon that right in a blatant attempt to suppress votes and undermine the integrity of this election. These actions will not be tolerated." So you've got Ohio gunning for him. You've got Michigan, Dana Nessel gunning for him. And you've got California and New York. Boy, they are in, I think, a lot of trouble. Who knew that being a pair of America's dumbest right-wing trolls would get you in so much trouble? Who knew? Who knew? If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and share with your friends. You can subscribe and help out the channel by becoming a patron. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf, or you can become a channel member as well by hitting the join button below.